Alright, so in this video, let's move away from that live sound world and back into the world of recording music. That is what this class is all about. And we didn't really get a whole lot of time to talk about different effects and different cool production techniques. So I wanted to take one of my songs. This is from my 2017 solo collab album. It's called Void Journal. And I'm going to send you a file of the tune. And you can also listen to it on your streaming services if you just search Dan Rickabus Void Journal or the name of the song, Storm Cloud / Bioluminescence. And so I thought this song would be great for illustrating a few different ideas about effects and how you can use them in your production, making music. So one thing I wanted to talk about is the vocal sound on this song. The vocal sound was a really fun find. What we ended up doing is, we talk about things that, in this class, we talk about things that are dry versus things that are more wet. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about reverb or delay. So something that is more dry has less reverb on it, or no reverb or no delay. It's just exactly how you might be hearing something in a very dead room. We call that dry. And then the opposite obviously being lots of reverb or lots of delay. So if you don't know, reverb is like one sound happens and a big long echo that takes a long time to decay happens after it, and it sustains, right? So it's like one sustained echo of the sound. So like, that's a horrible example. But reverb is almost like when you're in a cave or like a echoey space, and you make a sound like a clap, and you hear that one sound of the clap decay into the distance. And we call the length of time it takes for that reverb sound to go from loud to silent, we call that the decay time. And you can adjust those in reverbs on reverb pedals and reverb plugins in Pro Tools, stuff like that. So that's reverb. Delay is when you have multiple repetitions of the same sound. So usually each sound on a delay gets quieter and quieter, but it's multiple repetitions of that sound. So instead I would clap and it would be like, that's a bad example too, but you get the idea, like. So let's say that first clap was the only one that was actually recorded. The delay then happens numerous times and gets quieter and quieter. And the delay time then is the time between each repetition of the sound. And then you can also decide with the parameters on your delay pedals or your delay plugins in Pro Tools, you can decide how fast the delay time is, how many delay repeats happen before it totally goes out. So that's just a little bit about reverb and delay, the difference between the two. Definitely email me questions if you have any questions. But I wanted to look at the vocal sound on this song, Storm Cloud. It came about in a really cool way. There's actually two takes of the vocals, two different performances that I'm doing. And that's usually called double tracking. So I've double tracked the vocals. I've actually completely performed them twice. And what I ended up loving is performing like a softer, more almost whispered, kind of falsetto-y vocal take. So I'm singing much quieter and leaving that vocal take really dry, right? So we just talked about dry versus not dry. No reverb on the real whispery quiet take. Then what I did is did more of a full voice, louder singing, a little bit further away from the mic. I do a full take of that same performance, but instead of singing it whispery and quiet, I would sing it nice and loud and full chested. And that one we added reverb to. So I really liked the balance between those, because that dry take gave you all the definition, all the consonants of my words and lyrics, and created this feeling of like intimacy, like closeness to the listener. And meanwhile, that louder take, which has reverb on it, kind of reinforces the notes, and it also creates that feeling of space. It creates that kind of live sound feel around it. I really, really enjoyed doing it that way and loved mixing it that way. And so when I did the reverb on the vocal, it was really cool because I had this idea of doing the dry take and the reverby take together. And Ian Gorman, who we met, had this great idea to use some of his little outboard reverb spring reverb box units that are actually analog reverb boxes. I believe we talked about them in the interview. And so what we did is we ran my voice into that reverb box and then from the box back into Pro Tools, and we kind of set it up to have the decay time that we wanted. And you always want to make sure that your decay time with a reverb is kind of timed to the song. So if the tempo is like this, you want to kind of decide how long that reverb should go. Boom, boom, or boom, boom. This is kind of a goofy way of explaining it. But timing the reverb to the rhythm of the song is a pro tip. It just helps it sound less messy, helps it sound like it makes more sense, a little cleaner. So that's a tip for you. So we kind of timed that out and used those reverb boxes. One box was called the Sansui, the other was called the Space Expander. And so that was a great way to create that reverby sound on the louder full voice take and then leaving that quiet take dry. Just really went great. But again, just like everything, when you think about effects, there are no rules. These are just ideas to share that you can use, you can manipulate, change how you want. And I'm going to make one more video about this song Storm Cloud. And we're going to talk a little bit about distortion because we did some fun drum distortion. And there's Checkers back there. I think she wants to go outside. What do you think? Checkers, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, we'll see you in the next video.